The first time my card declined, it was loud. Not the machine that made the same soft, apologetic beep it always makes. It was the silence at the table that grew teeth. He leaned back in his chair like he'd been waiting for it. "It's okay," he said to the server, too casually. "We'll figure it out." I didn't correct him. I didn't scramble to transfer money. I didn't check my banking app like I used to. Heart racing, convinced I'd miscalculated something again. I just looked at the receipt and nodded. "Must be broke," he muttered, not quietly enough. I let that sit there too. They all thought that was the moment I hit bottom. It wasn't. Bottom was 3 years earlier, standing in an emergency room hallway with a cracked rib and a story I rehearsed, because the truth felt more dangerous than the lie. Bottom was replacing cash that disappeared from my wallet because he borrowed it. And then watching him call me dramatic for asking about it. Bottom was paying the rent after he lost another job and being told love meant support. Love meant invoices with no receipts. I used to cover everything because I thought stability would calm him down. If I paid the phone bill, he wouldn't shout about stress. If I handled the taxes, he wouldn't spiral. If I transferred money when his account was frozen, he'd feel less cornered. I didn't notice how often my own account dipped close to zero while his stayed comfortably untouched. The night of the declined card wasn't about overdraft. I had the money. I just hadn't moved it into the joint account. I'd stopped moving money into the joint account 2 weeks earlier. He didn't know that yet. What changed wasn't anger. It was fatigue. I was tired of treating theft like miscommunication. When we got home from the restaurant, he didn't yell. That would have been easier. He performed disappointment. "You embarrassed me," he said, pacing. "You could have said something. I thought we were a team. We were a team in the way a wallet and a hand are a team." I said nothing. That was new too. A month earlier, while trying to untangle our finances for tax season, I'd found the first crack. A return filed without my review. Income reported that wasn't mine. Deductions that belonged to a business he insisted wasn't official enough to worry about. My signature was there, digitally pasted. I remember staring at the screen and feeling something colder than anger. It was clarity. This wasn't chaos. It was strategy. I didn't confront him. I downloaded everything: statements, emails, filing confirmations. Then I scheduled a consultation during my lunch break and told him I was working late. The accountant didn't gasp or dramatize. She adjusted her glasses and asked for copies. When I finished explaining, she said, "You need to separate your liability immediately." Liability. That word did something to me. I opened a new account the next morning. My paycheck went there. I removed automatic transfers to the joint account. I didn't announce it. The next few weeks were small tests: groceries unpaid until I stepped in, utility notices forwarded to me with passive-aggressive sticky notes. "Did you forget?" "No," I'd say. The night of the declined card was his first public hint that something had shifted. He started checking the mailbox obsessively after that. He thought I didn't notice. The certified letter arrived on a Wednesday afternoon. I was home early on purpose. He signed for it with exaggerated annoyance. Probably junk. It wasn't. He stood in the kitchen reading. His posture changed first. Shoulders stiff, jaw set, then very still. "What is this?" he asked, but not to me, to the room, to the air. An audit notice. Discrepancies flagged. A request for documentation. A timeline. Consequences printed in language that didn't raise its voice. I had already submitted my statement weeks before, already separated my filings, already provided documentation clarifying which income and deductions were not mine. The letter made that separation official. "This is because you messed up the taxes," he said finally, but there was no conviction in it. I met his eyes. "No," I said, "even isn't." That was the only line I offered. He kept reading. I watched the realization crawl over him, not that he might owe money, not even that he might face penalties, but that I wasn't going to absorb it. There was no shouting, no dramatic confrontation, just the sound of paper folding and unfolding in his hands. For years, every consequence had rerouted itself through me, bills redirected, apologies forwarded, bruises explained. This one stayed with him. In the weeks that followed, he tried to provoke a reaction, accused me of betrayal, of revenge, of trying to ruin his life. I didn't argue. I forwarded emails from the accountant when necessary. I responded to direct financial questions with dates and facts. Nothing more. Power didn't slam down like a gavel. It settled quietly. I moved out 2 months later. Small apartment. Clean lease in my name only. My card has never declined there. Sometimes I think about that night at the restaurant, the way they all looked at me, pitying, judgmental. They thought I couldn't pay. The truth was, I finally understood the cost. I don't feel triumphant. There's no satisfaction in knowing someone you once loved is learning the difference between charm and documentation. But when I sit at a table now and the bill arrives, I pay for myself. Not to prove I can. Just because I choose to. And if anyone mistakes that silence for weakness, I let them. I've learned that the most expensive thing I ever did was confuse endurance with loyalty. I don't do that anymore.